Good day, everybody. Welcome at Mind Prosperity. And at Mind Prosperity, we're a company that believes wherever your mind goes, your life will follow. It has to happen mentally. And we have actually been interviewing, I wanted to say a lot of musicians. This is our second one, so it's not that much. But if you want to go watch our interview with Naledi Moapi, go watch that. That will enrich you. And it's just to encourage you to follow your dreams, using your gifts, using your talents. I know it's Taylor Swift once in a song that said about... I think this was about 20 years ago. No, I'm just kidding. She has this song called Fearless. And in the song, she said, you take my hand and you drag me head first. Fearless. And that was actually one of the ideas for the name of the company, Head First, because you have to go with your head first. You have to go with your thinking, with your imagination, and with your belief system first. It's very important to believe in yourself, take some risks, use your talents, use your gifts. And today we have Corneil Muller, who is actually a very, very good singer. You're an opera singer, right? Or classical?
Yeah, I wouldn't describe myself as an opera singer per se, because it's a very loaded job to do at the end of the day. But I think more or less a classical crossover. Josh Groban meets Michael Bublé.
Yuri Els.
Yes, you can throw that in if you really want to.
Well, Corneil, welcome. It's so great.
Thank you.
It's so great to have you here. You know, I've known about you for a very long time, and I remember since school you were a singer, and you were doing performances and stuff like that. Recently, you were on The Voice.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your journey, about your music journey and career.
So I started my music career at the age of 8 at the Musicon here in Bloemfontein. And we had the privilege of doing and playing in orchestras every Friday. So I actually didn't start as a singer. Initially, I started as a cellist through all the years, through school, primary school, high school. And then I only started singing. I sang in a lot of ensembles and vocal groups and choirs and all of that, and always enjoyed it. But I didn't really understand what it was to kind of use your voice as a soloist. So what happened was, this is actually a very interesting story. I was working in my uncle's butchery and at the end of grade 11. So I used to do holiday work.
That's where you used to meet.
Yeah. Yes, pardon the pun. Yes, so I started, I used to work in the butchery over school holidays. To learn about the business. It was a big family business, and to learn about the business and gather some experience and so on. And this was the end of grade 11, and there was a song, and I still to this day can't remember what the song was, but there was a song playing on the radio, and I went into the fridge to pick up one of the lamb carcasses to take out to kind of cut up, for some more chops and ribs and stuff like that. And I started singing the song. And I was like, am I finding my own voice now for the first time in a butchery in a fridge?
Wow.
I was like, okay, there's obviously something here. I went back to school, grade 12, and I told one of our teachers, Yvette Skuman, I told her that I think I want to sing. Like, I want to sing solo.
And then she made you audition or not?
At first she was like, but you can sing. You sing. You actually in one of the choirs and the ensembles and so on. And I'm like, no, but I want to sing. This is what I want to do now. This is my mission for grade 12. I want to sing a solo. Yeah, and eventually it ended up with a great music festival, and we sang, I think I sang You Raise Me Up. And that was my one of the very first times I actually sang in front of a whole lot of people with the orchestra. And I had good training, obviously, from her, and very much a lot of support. Yeah, because it takes a lot. People don't realize that, but it really takes a lot of courage to stand there and. I think people that like you also understand that in terms of the courage you need and to stand in front of people and to use your voice. Mm-hmm. I know there's interesting research that they recently done or did in America that said that the number one thing that people are the most afraid of is not dying or getting into a car crash or anything like that. It's speaking or singing in front of people. If you don't know that you can do it.
Wow.
You don't have, it's fascinating.
Is it only if you don't know that you can do it, or is it when you know you can do it as well?
I think the speaking part of it is to get up in front of 100 people or 50 people and say and say what you feel and say what you think. And I think just apart from that, society made it very difficult for us to be able to do that. And I think we should bring that back, that it's actually okay to have a voice and to have an opinion.
That's very good.
Because one can only learn from each other.
I actually read a book once on public speaking. I only read the first chapter, but it was a very good chapter. And this chapter was about how to be good at public speaking.
Yeah.
And the first chapter actually changed my life so much because it was all about authenticity. It was all about, don't try to say the right thing, don't try to impress anybody, don't try to say it so much in the right way. And I think saying it in the right way is important. But it was so much about authenticity. Say what is authentic to you. Say what you believe about this thing. Yeah. And I think it can be the same with singing as well. Whether you write, whether you sing a song that was written by somebody else. I think your authenticity is so important.
Absolutely. There's a lot of people that obviously we all do that in terms of our singing in our careers, and you don't always sing your own stuff. Being a songwriter yourself, you also do covers. We call it cover songs, which are then written by other artists, or we all know how that process works. But within that, it's extremely important that we always say that you make the song your own.
That's good.
But it's not as simple as just making something your own. It's like reading a phrase from Mark Twain or Billy Graham or Martin Luther King. Yeah. Every person interprets it differently. And that's, I think, interpretation in terms of cover songs is extremely important. You need to give everything you do in terms of your own artistry, your own stamp at the end of the day.
I'm going to ask a question on that, if it's okay. I don't really know how this, but it's just something I'm thinking about now. How do you find that? How do you find your authentic way of doing a song?
It's a process. I think in the first place you need to find yourself.
Okay. And how do you do that? Or how did you find it, if I can ask it like that?
Therapy.
I'm available.
Yes. Reading a lot of books, spending time with yourself, getting to know yourself is, I think, is ultimately the only way actually to do it. It's not something that you find necessarily find among friends, or obviously that's also very important, but that's all part of a balance that you need to find within yourself. So at our age now, if I have to sing the song, which I do, I don't know if you know the song Creep by Radiohead.
I do.
Yeah. So when I sang that in my 20s, and the way I feel about it and I see it now, is two completely different things. And I think that comes with life experience, and also with maybe some challenges and pain that you went through your life. But we all have that, and we all need to overcome certain things in our lives.
And you think that's part of the evolution of discovering yourself? And
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a very important part of being an artist. If we can just come back to authenticity, also, that if somebody like Leonardo da Vinci was that much, or Michelangelo was that much influenced by people around them the whole time, saying, no, I don't think you should use red on that palette. Maybe use a slight, like a green or a blue. Imagine what would have happened. He wasn't that much influenced by environment or society around him. Maybe environment, but I mean, to really find the authenticity within yourself, you can't be influenced by too many opinions the whole time.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
You need to constantly work on yourself and your own authenticity, to put that on your art, or use in your songs, or use in your speeches, or in your daily life.
I just want to bring this in. I study a lot and I teach a lot on emotional intelligence. I think that's one of the main things that I like to teach on. And they said if your emotional intelligence, it was a study they did, they said if your emotional intelligence increases with 5 points, your life quality betters with 72%. And I was speaking to another psychologist, Dr. Obas Uesta, who's actually a specialist, in my opinion, in emotional intelligence, and we found that that study was actually true. Now, one of the key factors of emotional intelligence is self-awareness.
100%.
And self-awareness, they say, is just looking within yourself, understanding yourself, understanding your emotions, and understanding your way of doing things. And I think this is actually such an important topic to say. Find your authenticity, learn from other people, but don't let other people change who you are. Don't let other people change the authentic you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important thing.
I think the new term for that people also can relate to is mindfulness.
Okay.
If you speak of that term, then people, I think it's very much the same concept. The self-awareness meets mindfulness, meets all of that, and I think it's just. At the end of the day, it's taking a step back and realizing that there's a lot more to life than just us being these people walking around here and doing our jobs to survive, for ultimate survival.
That's good.
But self-awareness, like you said, is a constant process. I think it's something that you constantly have to work on. It's not like you don't wake up one morning after you've done a study for a weekend or 3 days of some other cause, reading highly effective people, whatever, or something by what's the Alchemist or whatever, and then you're now suddenly aware. It doesn't work like that. It's like anything in life. That also takes time, and it's not always easy.
Yeah. There's a guy called Rollo May, and I want to bring this quote in, one of my favorite quotes. There's a guy called Rollo May, and he said, the opposite of courage is not cowardness, it's conformity. And you spoke about courage earlier. And he said it's conformity that's the opposite of courage, meaning you just become what everybody else wants you to become.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the greatest things that steals your courage. I think this was actually a while ago, a few months ago, I had an interview with writer Johannes de Villiers.
Oh, yes.
And he was the first, as far as I understand, he was the first person who wrote an Afrikaans book on mindfulness.
Yeah.
And I asked him about mindfulness, and he said mindfulness is like a spotlight. There's a lot of things going on, but you can decide where you put the spotlight. And I think when we connected to self-awareness, there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of things happening. I think there's even a lot of opinions within yourself. But you can adjust that spotlight the whole time to say, listen, but where do I really want to focus?
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm going to read the book very soon. I actually have it. I haven't read it yet. Looking forward to it. I think in terms of, just to bring that back to being an artist and knowing yourself, and I think it's very important that you find the balance between the mindfulness or the self-awareness also within your art or within your daily life. I mean, for me, I'm not only an artist, but I also work in business and in corporate. Obviously, let's say not necessarily an office job, but that's a day job kind of scenario. So also to find the balance within that is challenging sometimes, but to bring in the courage scenario that exempts you from conforming at the end of the day.
I think we all should be like that.
I have to ask questions. I have to challenge certain opinions. So I think it's important not to conform to society standards. I think it's important that you ask questions, that you believe in yourself in asking certain questions, that you really try to discover various pathways to make things worth your while.
I think that's very good. And I think a lot of times, with you, it's kind of like you discover that you're a great musician first, or that you discover at least you can play an instrument.
Yes.
Then you discover you have a voice. Then you discover how to use your voice. Then you discover your authenticity, and you're still discovering. And I think people shouldn't be afraid to discover, and they shouldn't be afraid to say, listen, within my dream, within my authenticity, within my talent and gift, there's going to be a lot of discovery, and that's okay.
Yes, absolutely. And discovery is all part of the bigger picture at the end of the day. I don't think you're going to ever stop discovering if you're an artist or you walking on this path of self-awareness. Discovering things is a daily task almost. I mean, it's an important part of everything.
I want to ask this. We spoke about cover songs, and we spoke about your singing cover music and things like that. Who are some of the people that you enjoy most taking like some of their songs and making it your own?
Something, as I mentioned earlier, if it's a song that sounds completely different as to what I would do it, like Creep,
Okay.
by Radiohead. I mean, that's actually it's a heavy rock song. But the way I do it is just very acoustic piano vocal, nothing else. Let's say Bohemian Rhapsody from
You did
Queen.
Bohemian Rhapsody?
No.
Not
I'm no, not yet.
So you're going to do it?
Working on it. No, I have done it. We actually did the song in Spain when I sang there with a few other guys. We were 4 guys singing there in a group on the island Mallorca. And we did that, but we did the cover song properly with a backtrack and so on. What I'm trying to say is, if you take a song that's very familiar in terms of melody, it's important to keep the melody, but you can also change it. I don't know if you've seen a few of these auditions.
I did.
America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent or whatever, where they take. With a lot of the artists take a song and make it their own and keep it authentic as possible, but it's still recognizable.
That's good.
By the audience, because it's also important. That's another topic that I think is an important thing, or aspect, not necessarily a topic. I think it's important to be available to your audience.
That's good.
It doesn't help that you are just, whether you're a great speaker or preacher or a singer or in a band or whatever. It's important that your audience understand what you're doing.
That's very good. So it's kind
otherwise
of like,
there's no then the communication gets lost in the process,
So you're basically saying there has to be a big combination between understanding you and understanding your audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's very good.
You can only do that if you understand yourself.
Oh, that's very, very good. And it's also a process, I assume.
Yes.
To get to that.
Yeah, and you get to, like I said earlier, if I have to do, I mean, if you take yourself also, the way you started in terms of speaking in front of people and discussing certain topics and going around that in your 20s, it's completely different as to where you are now.
Definitely.
And the way you see a member in the audience, or you see somebody sitting there thinking about what you just said, it can often throw you off.
Yeah.
But now you're like, okay, so let's engage in that. Why are you frowning? Even with the song, I see a lot of people, they go like, they feel something through what you're doing.
One thing that I've really picked up in my journey of public speaking and things like that, in the beginning, I really took people's reactions as I speak very seriously. Like I would have somebody that just like, they would sit like this and listen, and then there will be somebody that's like taking notes.
Exactly.
And they were taking notes, and I started to read the audience in the sense of like, if they're kind of smiling and they're nodding and they look excited, I thought like, okay, well they really enjoyed it. And if they're kind of just looking at me and staring at me, I thought like I'm either boring them or they're angry at me.
Big question mark.
Yeah, but then when I later realized you cannot evaluate the audience just by the looks on their faces. You have to evaluate them at who actually comes back. Because I've spoken at places and I was like, it really didn't look like they enjoyed it. And then the next day the guy will phone me and he was like, listen, we want to book you for 4 weeks. We want to book you for 8 weeks. And I had people that were like smiling and nodding, and you never hear from them ever again.
100%.
So that's one thing in my life. Another thing, I was actually driving in the car yesterday and I was listening to something I did a few years ago. And I just realized, like, not that was bad, that just it was different. so much different than what I'm doing
I
right now.
like what you're saying in terms of it's not bad, it's just different. So it's 100% fine to not always be that critical upon yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people do that. They think they write something like a poem or a song or whatever, or a speech, and they go back and they think, yo, did I actually write this? I'm not talking about the Facebook updates that I often see 12 years ago. I'm like, ooh, okay, this needs to go. We need to delete this immediately. Nobody can ever see this again.
Shit.
So what I'm saying is if you wrote a poem or a song and this was 15 years ago, or you are 15 years old, and then you read it or you sing it or you do it again, and you think, you know, for where I was, this is not bad. And it's okay to not be that critical on yourself the whole time.
Definitely, and as I was listening,
Part of discovering.
Yeah, definitely. As I was listening to this, and I'm like, you know, it's so different where I am now and where I was then. So I and it wasn't planned. I think that's the great thing that I wanted to say. Like I didn't. When I did that, I didn't then plan to do this now. It kind of just like it's in the same. I'm still speaking, I'm still writing, but the information is so different, and the way I'm doing it is so different. So I immediately started to wonder, but where am I? What am I going to speak about in 10 years? What audiences am I going to speak about in 10 years? And what I've realized is that's not always predictable. You cannot just always sit now and say, listen, in 10 years, I'm going to sing this song. I'm going to sing to this audience with this person. I think in this whole thing of discovery, you have to acknowledge your gifts, you have to acknowledge your talents, you have to acknowledge who you are, and you have to acknowledge your authenticity. But also say, listen, I cannot 100% determine exactly where there is going to be. And I, you know, a lot of times other inspirations come. You know, the people you are listening to now and the people who are inspiring you now might not be the same people in 5 years. There might be new people and, you know, people that's causing you to try new stuff. And I think a person should be open to that. I want to ask this because, like, I remember I wanted to ask this earlier. Who are some of the people that you have been performing with that you can say, you know, I really loved performing with these people. This was like really some highlights in my life.
I think that's also it's a very good question, but it's also a difficult question because in what we do on stage, you work with different personalities, you work with different people, and everyone brings something different to the table. Whether it be a beautiful dress, a nice personality, beautiful hair, a fantastic voice, or just a sense of camaraderie. I recently worked with Linnell Kennett. Okay. She's a beautiful soprano in Cape Town, but she also travels South Africa and abroad. And that was a fantastic experience because she just she brings something different to the stage. Her sense of style and a sense of making you feel comfortable is something that I've very rarely experienced.
Making you feel comfortable, meaning the one who's performing with her or the audience itself?
So we often, well, I think both. That's a very good point. But for me especially, there's a certain kind of warmth that you feel performing with her. But I can also say that about Cézanne Ezel, which is the same, Caroline Brousseau. I've performed with a few, Leah as well. I've performed with a few female vocalists that's obviously all of them brilliant and fantastic people and also wonderful mothers, some of them.
Let's dream big. Say you can perform with any other artist. Who would it be? You probably have thought about that, right?
No, I have never.
Really?
Actually, never. I would have loved to perform with Freddie Mercury.
Okay.
I think like some other weird acoustic duet would have been incredible. I don't know how I would ever be able to do that actually because he's just absolutely brilliant. In terms of female singers, there's a few that I can think of now. Montserrat Caballé, I think she's a fantastic opera singer, a very big voice. She's unfortunately no longer with us, but I think she would have been one of the big ones for me. I don't know if you know the song Barcelona. She did that.
Brilliant. With
That
Freddie
was
Mercury,
her and
that's one of my favorite songs, actually.
really.
Yeah, I love it. I really
Yeah,
love
it's
it.
beautiful. I mean, the band is just incredible. Yeah, so I think you've given me something to think about
That's good.
on this specific day in this interview.
I think what we want to do is we want to get people to think about that. We want people to dream. We want people to to say, listen, even if it never happens, but to still say, like, I'm inspired by somebody. I would love to meet this person. I think one of my greatest success stories ever would be if somebody like Ed Milet or Lewis House ever has me on their shows, because and they're like huge. When they have millions of views. Before I ask any other questions, where can people find you if they want to listen to you, if they want to book you?
I've got some videos on YouTube. Yeah, on YouTube.
Okay, what do they type in? Do they type
Corneil
in?
Muller.
Okay.
Corneil Muller, Corneil Muller.
We'll have it on the screen.
Yeah,
So
okay, great. And then Instagram and Facebook. And also info@corneilmuller.com.
Okay, we'll also put that on the screen for you guys. It's
Great.
right there. You can look at it.
Not going to give my telephone number
Or
now.
is that where they can email you, or is that your website?
That's email.
Email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Website is currently under construction.
tell us a bit about your journey on The Voice.
Well, it was a few years ago now, but I think it takes time to kind of go through all the emotions and and I've actually never spoken about this to anybody in an interview, like we are doing now. And I mean, except for writing about it here and there. So you get there, and it's obviously, you've got competition in your mind the whole time, because I mean, it's like, this is what you do. This is what you kind of prepped for, this is a competition. There's a lot of people that's going to perform against you and so on. And you all stay together in a hotel. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but I think we're far enough off now from the contract period.
Which hotel?
I can't remember the name. Yeah, so you get there, and obviously you've got this competition mindset, but then you quickly realize that everybody's actually there to find a piece of themselves.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And it's like, whether it be, am I actually good enough to be a singer, to be a professional singer, to actually do this for the rest of my life? Or do I actually just want to learn from other people? Or do I want to be a songwriter? And am I actually a better songwriter than performer or singer? Because all of these motions go through you, and then you need to kind of face them, in a very short period of time. Well, I say short period, but it's almost 7-8 weeks. And you become very good friends with people that you've not, you've never met them, and you would never think that you would be friends with such personalities.
Oh, that's good.
And I think the common goal is, this is now all off the screen, right? So this is nothing that the viewers see. I think the common goal is that everybody's there to succeed in some way. And everybody's backgrounds differ. But the amazing thing for me was the absolute unconditional love that everybody had towards everybody. Whether it's the staff working, the cameramen, the talents. I think as much as it was, and as it comes across as this very big competition, which it is, there's a lot happening behind the scenes that's very special, very emotional, very that encourages one quite a lot.
That's very good.
Yeah, and then the performances are actually obviously very stressful, but that for me, looking back, is like 5% of everything that happened in between. I think it's also because my capacity for people is quite big, and you know, I love different personalities, and
Okay, that's good.
I feed off people. I get a lot of energy from different personalities and different people. I, obviously, we all need our alone time on a regular basis. But yeah, in terms of that, I think it was a fantastic experience that I'm very, very glad and humbled could have been a part of.
That's brilliant, and well done for being a part of it. I think, and this is the thing that I think is very, for me, like I watch a lot of these shows like Idols. I did watch it a bit, but America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent. The reason I think The Voice is actually more stressful, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is with all the others, they just evaluate whether you're good or not.
Yeah.
But with The Voice, it's not whether you're good or not, it's whether I actually want to work with you. And you can be good, you can actually be brilliant, and somebody can just say, but you know, you're brilliant, but I don't feel like I want to work with you. And I think
100%.
that's the thing for me. It's not just, and I think they all just get a small amount of people that they can actually choose.
Yeah.
If they,
So
they
it's
can
12. Initially, it's 12 in a team.
So every single judge can only choose 12 people they want to work with. And how many people are actually contesting?
Well, I think in our year, in season 3, there was about more than 6,000 entries countrywide. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And eventually, around, let's say 96 to 100 actually go through to the...
Out of 6,000?
Yeah, go through to the round which was actually recorded then in the studio, where they turn the chairs.
Okay, and then not a lot of people obviously turn the chairs because they can only
you can only choose 12. I don't know if you remember, but I was the 13th one.
I do remember, yeah.
So I actually almost missed it. Well, I did technically. No, and so all of the others also got another turn then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously. So not obviously, like interesting. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So you worked with Lira?
Lira initially, and then in the battle round, or in the knockouts, I think that was the next one, if I'm not mistaken, then I was stolen by Rihanna.
Yeah, Rihanna Nell.
Yes.
Okay, and she has a beautiful voice, I believe.
So they're both incredible, and I'd learned so much from both of them. Lira is actually a fantastic businesswoman as well. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but she's a chartered accountant, and she started singing also. She worked as a chartered accountant, and then she built this incredible brand for herself. And she just, the way she treats people, and the way with absolute utmost respect and business integrity, artistic integrity, she's really a great example.
And I think one thing, or one final thought that I want to bring is, I think when you really want to follow your dream, something like that, when you really want to use your talent, use your gift, go into your authenticity. You have to learn to get along with other people who think differently, who are differently. You cannot just stay stuck in your culture, stay stuck in who you are.
Yeah, because the moment you do that, you conform again. And I think we've spoken about that. And that's it's a very difficult position that you put yourself in.
Yeah,
and it's unnecessary.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's comfortable for a lot of people. And that's the difference.
And the thing is, comfort is the enemy of success.
100%.
At the end of the day. And I can't believe going to a place like The Voice, and obviously well done for going so far. You know, I didn't know there were 6,000 people, and you got into the top 50. So well done. I think that's really brilliant. And I think one final thing that I want to say, and that I want you to give a final thought, is when you wanna follow your dream, when you wanna use your talent, use your gift, use your authenticity, be comfortable with not being comfortable. It's almost like I want to say, take some risks, take some actions. But before I say too much, can you maybe give our viewers or listeners, whether you're watching or listening, some final thoughts, just to encourage them to...
I'm not a motivation speaker,
but you do motivate yourself, right?
I do have to motivate myself. But I think there's one thing that I want to leave you guys with, and that is that it's important to realize that talent is not enough.
That's brilliant. I love that.
There's a lot of people with a lot of talent. I see them every day. I walk around them. They work with me. They work with all of us. But it's just not enough at the end of the day. It's very hard work.
And consistent
And
work.
consistent hard work. I'm going to take a quick example, like an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 6 to 8 hours training a day, or a bodybuilder for that matter. I mean, you have
Why are
to.
you pointing at me, bodybuilder? Not a bodybuilder.
I don't know. You're trying. Oh, really?
I did until Muchachos opened.
Oh,
I'm done.
So yes, important. Talent's not enough. Consistent hard work and perseverance. Find your inner peace and your
Very important.
and it's actually going to be easier.
That's very, very good.
And then you can root yourself in different directions.
Definitely. And that's what we've been trying to articulate to the people. That's that change is going to happen. But perseverance. I love the thing about what you said about perseverance. And I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for talking to the people. I want to thank you for allowing us to interview you. But I especially want to thank you for not quitting. Since you were 8 years old till now, you just went on, you persevered, you kept on.
I have to thank my mother for that. She was like, come on.
And we all need that.
A great force.
And I just want to say that we all need this. It's not just about knowing how to encourage yourself, but encourage other people, believe in other people, stand behind other people. You know, I have a team standing behind me. I have my family that are some of my greatest supporters. It's so important to support other people, and I'm so glad you brought that up. And I want to say thank you to your mother, because if it wasn't for her, you wouldn't be here today. And I know, you know, I think your journey is going to be amazing, and I'm really looking forward where you're going to go for the next 35 years in your life.
Thank you. I'm glad you said 35 and not 20.
I want to see where you're gonna. I want to see where you're gonna go. So thank you so much. Thank you for not quitting. Thank you for carrying on. And I do have to say, you have a beautiful voice. You are one of the people that I like listening to.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys. We will see you guys soon again. Goodbye.